Why is it that some faces haunt our thoughts like shadows we can't outrun? Why do certain voices echo relentlessly in the quiet chambers of our mind, refusing to fade no matter how fiercely we try to push them away? It's not mere coincidence or a quirk of memory, it's something far deeper. Something Zen Buddhism has grappled with for millennia. In those ancient teachings lies a truth, raw and unfiltered, that cuts through the noise of modern distraction and speaks directly to the restless heart. We live in a world where memories cling like stubborn vines, wrapping around our consciousness, choking the present moment. That person, whether an ex-lover whose silhouette lingers in your dreams, a colleague whose harsh words reverberate in your thoughts long after the office lights dim, or someone who betrayed your trust so deeply that their image crashes over you like a storm surge, won't simply vanish with time. The mind's grip on these mental ghosts is tight, and understanding why is the key to unlocking freedom. Zen teaches us that these persistent thoughts are not random hauntings but reflections of attachments to pain, to unresolved feelings, and to our own identities shaped by those experiences. The mind, like a monkey swinging from branch to branch, is restless, seeking meaning and resolution in the echoes of the past. But the cruel irony is that clinging only binds us tighter, weaving a cage of suffering from threads of memory. I've witnessed this struggle in myself and those around me, the way a single person's shadow can consume whole days, dragging the spirit into cycles of anger, regret, or longing. The first step, Zen whispers, is to recognize the illusion that these mental prisoners hold power over us only if we grant it. They are not invincible. They are manifestations of craving and resistance, flickering images in the vast theater of our consciousness. What if the answer isn't to fight harder but to surrender differently? To see these thoughts not as enemies but as messages, clues pointing toward what we must face within ourselves. This perspective shift can ignite the most profound transformation. It's not about erasing memories or denying pain, but about embracing the flow of impermanence, allowing thoughts to arise and dissolve like ripples on a still pond. The teachings guide us toward practices that cultivate this detachment, mindfulness that watches without judgment, compassion that softens the heart's wounds, and acceptance that welcomes all facets of our experience without resistance. Only by sitting with discomfort, rather than fleeing, can we begin to unravel the knots that bind us. And here lies the greatest revelation. The one who lingers in your mind is often a mirror reflecting your own unresolved parts, the fears, the desires, the unspoken truths you hide even from yourself. Liberation comes not from banishing them but from understanding and integrating these shadows. So, as you journey through this exploration, prepare for a shift that is both unsettling and liberating. The seventh reason we'll uncover will challenge everything you think you know about letting go and staying free. It's a call to confront your inner landscape with courage and honesty, to break the chains forged not by others but by your own mind. In a world obsessed with distraction and escape, Zen offers a radical invitation to stop running, to face the storm within, and in doing so, discover a peace that no persistent thought can ever take away. Stay with me, because what follows could change the way you understand your mind and your freedom forever. When that face invades your mind relentlessly, the first truth to confront is this: what you feel isn't love. It's attachment in disguise, a masquerade that deceives your heart and chains your soul. Zen Buddhism unmasks this illusion with brutal clarity. True love does not stir the restless storms inside you. It does not twist your stomach with jealousy or gnaw away at your peace. Real love grants a gentle calm, a quiet strength. What keeps you tangled in that endless loop of thoughts is not love, but a desperate clutching onto something that slips through your fingers like smoke. You scroll through their social media obsessively, searching for signs, for scraps of connection that might soothe the gnawing emptiness, but it only fuels the fire inside. This is not love, it is attachment, the cruel puppeteer behind your suffering. The Buddha's wisdom cuts to the heart of this torment. Attachment is the root of all suffering. You are not thinking about them because you truly love who they are now or even what they were, but because you have wrapped your identity, your sense of worth, your future happiness around the fragile thread of their approval or presence. This mental grip is a prison forged by fear. The fear of losing what you believe defines you. The fear of being abandoned. The fear of facing yourself without that person's reflection as a mirror. It is the need to be validated, to be seen, to belong, tangled up in memories that linger like ghosts refusing to rest. Zen masters long ago illustrated this with a searing metaphor. Holding a burning coal intending to throw it at someone else only scorches your own hand. Every time you clutch these thoughts, you inflict pain on yourself. I've lived this fire. I've held onto illusions that seared my spirit, mistaking the burn for warmth, confusing need for love, and the deeper the burn, the more you convince yourself it's love because love must hurt. Right? Wrong. Love frees, love nurtures, love opens, attachment suffocates, consumes, destroys from within. Recognizing this truth is the first step toward liberation. It's a painful awakening, to admit that what haunts you is not the pure, compassionate love your soul craves, but a corrosive attachment that feeds on your insecurities and fears. Zen offers a radical remedy. Practice metta, loving kindness without possession. Wish well without demanding, love without clinging, embrace without trapping. This is not easy. It asks you to soften the fist that clenches so tightly around pain and longing. It demands courage to face the void left by that absence, to sit with discomfort without fleeing into obsessive thought. But within this practice lies the seed of freedom, the power to release the burning coal and find warmth in your own heart. Only then does the mind begin to quiet, the endless replay fades, and the person who once ruled your thoughts becomes a gentle breeze passing through. Attachment loses its grip, and in that space, true love, whether for another or for yourself, can finally emerge. Pure and unbound. Karma, in its truest essence, is not a cosmic punishment or reward. It is a call to completion. A cosmic unfinished business whispering through the corridors of your mind. When someone stubbornly occupies your thoughts, it's not random torment, it's a karmic knot tightening, signaling that there are lessons yet unlearned, wounds yet unhealed. These mental chains exist because the universe is urging you to face what you've left undone, to confront truths you've buried deep beneath layers of denial or distraction. Imagine that person as a mirror, reflecting back unresolved pain or guilt you refuse to acknowledge. Perhaps they inflicted wounds you never allowed yourself to grieve fully. The sharp edges of betrayal or abandonment still raw beneath the surface. Or maybe the guilt of harm you caused them festers quietly within you, an invisible weight dragging at your conscience. Buddhist wisdom tells us that such karmic entanglements are not accidents, they are deliberate, divine invitations to growth and healing. Every encounter, every relationship, is a master in disguise, Those who linger in your mind the longest often teach the harshest lessons, lessons that challenge your ego. Confront your deepest fears, or unravel illusions you've clung to for comfort. It's tempting to run from these thoughts, to shove them into the darkest corners of your mind, but Zen insists we meet them head-on. To truly move forward, we must ask ourselves, what am I running from? What emotions am I refusing to feel? What self-deceptions am I unwilling to shatter? I've found in my own journey that the most persistent mental visitors were precisely those whose presence forced me to confront my shadows. They dragged me from complacency, shattered my false narratives, and demanded I confront uncomfortable truths about my role in the pain and healing process. It's a brutal, relentless reckoning, yet, within that struggle lies transformation. The moment you face the unspoken truths and allow yourself to process the buried emotions, the karmic chains begin to loosen. Zen teaches that these mental echoes are like waves on the ocean of consciousness. They rise, crash, and recede, not to trap you, but to cleanse, to purify. When you stop resisting and instead lean into the discomfort, these waves teach you the art of surrender and acceptance. The lesson is never about the other person. It is always about your own awakening, your own liberation. So, persistent thoughts become signposts rather than shackles. They point the way to inner work that, once done, dissolves the karmic hold. The more you embrace these lessons, the lighter your mind becomes. This process is painful but necessary, a crucible forging resilience, wisdom, and compassion. In this truth lies hope, no matter how deeply entangled your mind may be. The path to freedom is through facing your karmic lessons with courage and grace. Within the labyrinth of the mind lies a hidden theater where shadows dance unseen. These shadows are the fragments of ourselves we deny, suppress, or fear to face. Both Zen Buddhism and Jungian psychology illuminate this profound truth. The people who obsessively occupy our thoughts are often not truly about them, but rather the projection of our own shadow selves. When someone's confidence ignites a storm inside you, it may not be their strength you see, but your own buried potential, trapped beneath layers of doubt and self-repression. When you fixate on another's flaws, you might be confronting aspects of yourself you refuse to acknowledge, the parts you hide away from your own gaze. This psychological projection becomes a magnetic hook, anchoring that person in the restless currents of your mind. They become the canvas upon which your unconscious paints its unresolved fears, desires, and contradictions. Your thoughts are no longer about them but about what they symbolize within you, the qualities you reject, the wounds you refuse to heal. Zen invites us to peer inward with unflinching clarity. What is it about this person that triggers such powerful emotional responses? Which facets of their being echo within your own denied self? This inquiry is a gateway to self-understanding. The Buddha's wisdom whispers that others are mirrors, not enemies. They reflect the inner landscapes we have yet to embrace. The agitation and fascination you feel are not mere coincidences but signposts directing you toward your own unintegrated shadow. By daring to meet these disowned parts with compassion rather than resistance, you begin the alchemy of transformation. What was once a source of turmoil becomes a wellspring of insight and wholeness. I have wrestled with this shadow myself, the way my mind would seize upon someone's arrogance or vulnerability, mirroring a secret dance of fear and yearning within me. The moment I faced these projections honestly, the relentless grip of those thoughts loosened. The person ceased to be a tormentor and became a teacher, guiding me towards self-acceptance. This process is neither quick nor painless. It demands courage to look into the depths where light and darkness intertwine. Yet, in this confrontation lies freedom. The more you reclaim these shadow fragments, the more the image of that person fades from the commanding center of your mind. What once felt like a haunting presence dissipates, replaced by a serene understanding that your true enemy is the refusal to see and accept yourself whole. Zen's call is radical: to embrace the shadow, to welcome what you have hidden in the dark corners of your being. And through that embrace, to dissolve the chains that bind your thoughts. In this awakening, the projected figure loses power because it no longer symbolizes a threat but a reflection of your own journey toward integration. The mind settles. Obsession quiets. The shadow is no longer a specter to fear but a part of the human mosaic you courageously own. This, perhaps, is one of the deepest gifts of Zen and Jung alike, the invitation to come home to yourself. To find liberation not in fleeing others, but in embracing the complexity within. Suffering roots itself in the stubborn grasping for what we think should be rather than embracing what simply is. This relentless craving for a specific outcome is a silent storm that rages inside the mind, anchoring you to a painful loop from which escape seems impossible. When someone dominates your thoughts endlessly, it's often not them you crave, it's the future you imagine with them. The resolution you desperately want to script, whether it's reconciliation that mends the shattered pieces, revenge that soothes wounded pride, recognition that feeds your aching ego, or the sweet fantasy of rekindled love, this fixation on a desired outcome traps you in a mental cage of your own making. Zen Buddhism calls this the enemy of presence, the mind's addiction to its own projections. Rehearsing the same hopeful or fearful scenarios again and again, you'll catch yourself in this loop because no matter how much time passes, your thoughts circle back to that one narrative, playing out variations of a single ending that you believe will bring peace. The beginner's mind teaches us to shed these worn-out scripts, to approach each moment as if it were new, uncluttered by expectation or desire. But attachment to outcomes is the exact opposite, a dense fog of assumptions, demands, and imagined futures that choke off the fresh air of reality. I've observed in myself and others the desperation this creates, the way hope can twist into torment, where every day is spent chasing a phantom of what might be rather than living fully in what is. This fixation distorts the present, coloring every interaction with a brush dipped in anticipation or dread. You begin to lose the nuance of the moment, blind to the truth because your mind is so locked on the conclusion it refuses to accept any other possibility. Zen practice invites a radical release, not a cold resignation, but a fierce acceptance of the present moment's raw truth. It asks us to stand barefoot in the messy now, no matter how uncomfortable or painful, without clutching at imagined futures. This doesn't mean giving up on hope or surrendering ambition, but rather entangling your sense of peace and happiness from the fragile threads of expected outcomes. In my own experience, this was the hardest lesson. I wanted to rewrite stories, to control endings, to ensure every loose thread tied up perfectly in my favor. But the more I clung, the tighter the mental chains became. Only when I surrendered my grip on the outcome did the endless rehearsal stop. The mind found silence, and in that silence, I discovered a freedom beyond my desires, a peace that was not conditional on someone else's actions or the unfolding of events. This is the paradox Zen reveals. True freedom blossoms not in getting what you want, but in wanting what is. The moment you release attachment to outcomes, the person who once ruled your thoughts begins to lose their grip. Your mind opens, no longer a battlefield of expectation but a serene field of presence where life unfolds exactly as it should, free, unpredictable, and alive. The mind, in its ceaseless chatter, often deceives us into believing that our thoughts are the essence of who we are. Yet Buddhism shatters this illusion with a revelation so simple, yet so profound. You are not your thoughts. When a person occupies your mind persistently, this wisdom becomes critical. Instead of witnessing these thoughts as transient clouds drifting across a boundless sky, you clutch them as if they are solid truths, the very fabric of reality. Each thought about that person feels urgent, undeniable, and demands your full attention. This identification is a trap, a vicious loop where the more you embrace these thoughts as your identity, the more they multiply, embedding themselves deeper into your consciousness. Buddhist meditation offers a powerful tool to dismantle this illusion. By learning to observe thoughts without merging into them, you create a crucial space between yourself and the mental noise. When the thought arises, "I miss her," you don't immediately accept it as an absolute truth but instead note, "There is a thought that I miss her." This small but radical shift creates distance, weakening the compulsive grip your mind holds over you. It's not about suppression or denial but about mindful recognition and detachment, seeing thoughts as temporary visitors rather than permanent residents. But there is another layer, the illusion of permanence. Buddhism teaches the doctrine of anicca, the impermanence of all things. Yet when caught in the storm of obsessive thoughts, we convince ourselves that our connection, be it love, pain, or resentment, is fixed and unchanging. We feel the intensity of our emotions as eternal, believing the ache of loss or the heat of desire will never subside. This false permanence grants the person in your mind enormous power, as if their presence is immortalized in your inner world. I have grappled with this illusion myself, the paralyzing certainty that the pain would never end, that the mind's relentless replay was forever. But Zen's timeless truth reminds us, this too shall pass, not as a mere phrase but as the fundamental rhythm of existence. Every feeling, every thought, no matter how overwhelming, follows the natural cycle of arising and fading. The heartbreak that feels like an abyss, the memories that sting sharply, they are all transient waves on the vast ocean of your consciousness. Understanding impermanence is liberation. It dissolves the false solidity of your mental prisons. When you truly grasp that the mental storms will settle, that the connection, positive or negative, is not eternal, the person's hold on your mind weakens. The mind no longer orbits obsessively but finds moments of calm, glimpses of freedom. This insight requires patience and persistent practice. The mind resists surrendering to impermanence. It clings desperately to the known, to the comfortable pain of familiarity. Yet embracing change is the door to peace. The Zen path invites you to witness your thoughts and feelings without fear or attachment, to flow with their natural rise and fall. In doing so, you reclaim your sovereignty over your mind, stepping out of the endless drama and into a space of quiet clarity. This is where true freedom begins, not in chasing or resisting thoughts, but in knowing them as passing phenomena. The moment you embody this understanding, the relentless presence of that person in your mind softens and eventually fades. And in that fading, you find the profound peace Zen has long promised, a peace born not of forgetting, but of seeing clearly and letting go. Beneath the surface of restless thoughts and tangled emotions lies a truth far more profound than mere psychology, a spiritual contract written long before this lifetime. A mission unfinished that draws souls together in the dance of growth and awakening. When a person lingers in your mind against the passage of time and distance, they may not be a shadow to escape but a beacon illuminating a deeper path. This presence is not a burden but a sacred invitation, an echo of a connection predating this life, urging you to awaken to lessons yet to be embraced. Buddhist teachings guide us toward seeing relationships as mirrors of our inner world and gateways to transcendence. The most challenging bonds, the ones that persist like stubborn fires, often hold the seeds of our greatest spiritual breakthroughs. That person who refuses to leave your consciousness may embody exactly the challenge or lesson your soul must grapple with to evolve. Their image is a call to awaken, to rise above old patterns, to confront hidden fears, or to dissolve illusions that bind your spirit. I have come to understand, through my own journey, that wrestling with persistent thoughts about someone is less about their external reality and more about the unfinished work within myself. This realization reframes suffering from an enemy to a guide. Instead of fighting the persistent presence, I began to ask, what is this thought teaching me? What part of my being is still asleep, still resisting growth? This question opens a door from pain to insight, from entrapment to freedom. Such spiritual missions demand courage. The courage to face not only the other's reflection but the depths within where your fears and shadows reside. It is a call to embrace the discomfort of transformation, knowing that growth seldom arrives wrapped in ease. The presence in your mind is not a punishment but a profound opportunity, a sacred catalyst for awakening to your highest self. This perspective invites patience and reverence for the process unfolding within. The person's persistent mental residence may signal that your journey is incomplete, that your spirit is still learning how to love, forgive, release, or transcend, rather than seeking to erase their image. Embrace it as a teacher, silent yet potent, harsh yet compassionate. They exist as a mirror reflecting the spiritual terrain you are destined to traverse. Through this lens, suffering morphs into a passageway, and the mind's restlessness becomes the heartbeat of awakening. The mystery of why someone refuses to leave your thoughts transforms from a torment to a sacred riddle, an unfinished chapter in your soul's evolution. A mission calling you to wakefulness. In this awakening, the chains of obsession loosen, and freedom dawns, not because the thought disappears, but because your relationship with it deepens and shifts. This is the paradox of spiritual growth. Liberation does not come from fleeing the shadows but from dancing with them, understanding their rhythm, and allowing their presence to guide you home. The persistent presence in your mind is not a curse but a key, unlocking doors to wisdom, compassion, and profound transformation. It is here, in this sacred interplay, that true awakening awaits. To walk the Buddhist path toward liberation from persistent thoughts, begin with mindful observation. When those thoughts about the person arise, resist neither them nor yourself for having them. Instead, meet each thought with gentle awareness, like watching autumn leaves drift softly on a quiet stream. Notice the thought's presence without diving into its tangled story. Zen reminds us that resistance only strengthens what we fight. Observation with detachment, however, softens and transforms the grip those thoughts hold. Next, approach your mind with compassionate inquiry. Ask yourself tenderly, What attachment or lesson keeps this person living so vividly in my consciousness? This is not a time for harsh judgment or self-condemnation, but for curiosity that unfolds wisdom. Understanding arises not from blame but from kindness. When you unveil the underlying attachments or lessons, embrace them with warmth, knowing that awareness itself ignites the first flicker of change. Then comes the art of letting go through acceptance. The Buddha taught that release is not a forceful act but a gentle surrender. Don't strive to erase the person from your mind. Instead, accept their presence without clinging to the stories and meanings you have built around them. Imagine your thoughts as objects held in open hands, there, but free to slip away at any moment. Never grasp tightly enough to cause pain. Transform your experience further by redirecting your attention with intention. Each intrusive thought can become a mindfulness bell, a sacred reminder to return to the present. Rather than battling the thought, use it as a cue to breathe deeply. Feel your feet grounding you, and come home to the now. With patience, the person who once dominated your mind becomes a surprising gateway to presence and peace. Cultivate loving-kindness meditation, metta bhavana, as a powerful antidote. Send heartfelt wishes of well-being first to yourself. May I be free from suffering. May I find peace. Then extend this wish to the person occupying your thoughts and beyond, to all beings. This practice dissolves the emotional charge, whether attachment or aversion, and plants seeds of compassion that transform inner turmoil into gentle openness. Finally, envision your mind as a flowing river and the persistent person as a stone tossed into its current. Initially, the stone causes ripples and disturbance, but the river flows on undeterred. You need not battle the waves. By allowing your awareness to flow naturally around the disruption, the stone either settles, becoming part of the riverbed's foundation, or is carried away downstream. The key lies in trust. Trust in the natural movement of awareness without forcing change. The Buddha's profound teaching echoes clearly. There is nothing to cling to as I, me, or mine. And this includes the thoughts that arise about others. When a person won't leave your mind, Buddhist wisdom beckons you to transform your relationship with these thoughts. See your mind as the vast, open sky, and this person as a cloud passing through, fleeting, ever-changing, and never permanent. Through mindful awareness, what once tormented you becomes the very path that leads to your freedom. If this journey spoke to you, share this message to spread peace and insight. Like and comment below with your own experiences or questions. Let's grow together in understanding. Subscribe to Moon Mind Temple for more wisdom to illuminate life's challenges. May you find serenity with every visitor in your mind, knowing each carries a lesson when seen through the eyes of awakening.